call this February 25th, 2026 meeting of the Select Board to order. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, amended on May 28, 2025, Governor Moore Healy signed into law an act extending pandemic-related authorizations related to public meetings, allowing hybrid meeting options for public bodies through June 30, 2027. This February 25, 2026 Select Board meeting will be conducted in a hybrid format via Zoom and in person. My name is Mary Ann LeBlanc, and with me is Joe Previtera, participating remotely. Joe, would you please indicate your presence?
Good evening, folks. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you, Joe. This meeting, I will note, was originally scheduled for Monday night, the 23rd, and was rescheduled due to the weather. I'm here with Tish Healy, Assistant Town Administrator, Connor Reed, our Town Administrator, Fitzpatrick, Assistant Town Administrator, and Stephanie McManus, Assistant Town Administrator and Finance Director. If I could ask everybody now to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I will grant permission to Westwood Media Center to record our meeting. Evan, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Is there anyone else who would like to record the meeting? I see no affirmative responses. It is now my happy duty to announce that we'll now have the swearing in of Connor Reed as our new town administrator. With us is Madam Town Clerk to perform the ceremony. Thank you, Dottie.
Where are we going? It's our first time.
Like,
So.
can you take a step forward, please, Dottie? Just Dottie.
Just them.
Yeah. Some of us are big here.
Repeat after me. I, Connor Reed,
I, Connor Reed,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of town administrator
of town administrator
for the town of Westwood
for the town of Westwood
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and understanding
and understanding
and in good faith.
and in good faith.
I pledge to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
Pledge to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the charter and bylaws of the town of Westwood.
and the charter and bylaws of the town of Westwood.
I will lead and support the staff
Will lead and support the staff
of the town
of the town
with integrity and professionalism,
with integrity and professionalism,
and conduct the affairs of my office
and conduct the affairs of my office
in a manner above reproach,
in a manner above reproach,
earning the trust and confidence
earning the trust and confidence
of the public I serve.
of the public that I serve.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Good.
On behalf of the board and all of our residents, I want to congratulate Connor, the position as our town administrator. In the short time that he's been with us, the town, all of our town employees, all of our residents have already benefited from his leadership. We are so happy to have you and to welcome you. Thank you very much for being here. I also want to lead off our meeting by welcoming all of you. It's nice to be back in person. It's been a while, more on that in a moment. But I want to lead off by thanking our team at the Department of Public Works and our entire public safety team, fire and police, for their extraordinary job in keeping us all safe in the historic blizzard a couple days ago. They did an extraordinary job. They are tired, but they did the job so well. And also our entire team at Town Hall, who do a lot behind the scenes whenever there is an emergency, a weather emergency like that. All of the folks here and so many of them in the room who did so much and were up early and up late, keeping us all safe behind the scenes. So thank you all very much for that. We are so pleased to be here at the library tonight. I see we have maybe 10 or 15 residents, non-employee residents joining us. Welcome. We have seen quite the evolution when it comes to public meetings. Nada, you attend all of them, so you know this.
I try.
And when I served on FinCom up until 2018, all of our meetings were in person, as were all of the select board meetings. And at that time, pre-COVID, the select board meetings were quite sparsely attended. Then, of course, COVID came, everything went to remote meetings. And what we found when I joined the select board in 2022, I came to understand that many residents really valued the opportunity to attend remotely, particularly our young parents with kids at home, people with other caregiving responsibilities or travel obligations. They were able to participate from the road or while making dinner for their kids. And they were able to participate. It provided access in a way that we hadn't seen before. And we had many more people who have participated in our meetings and continue to participate in our meetings than ever before, pre-COVID. However, I think that thankfully we're now in the post-pandemic era. And I think that many of us are suffering from a bit of a lack of human connection. There's a bit of isolation that comes with remote work, whether you're working from home now, many more of us are doing that, or just attending remote meeting after remote meeting. And we began hearing from residents that they wanted to have some in-person meetings. So after Connor Reed was hired, but before he started with us, I began talking to him about coming back to a hybrid format. Again, we heard from some residents that they were interested in that. Connor had experience with that in Easton with his select board there. And I do think that being with one another in the room fosters that human connection. And the data shows that it fosters better communication and more engagement. And so we are going to go forward with hybrid meetings like this from now on, with the expectation that our board members will attend in person, barring extenuating circumstances. And we encourage the participation and attendance of all residents. While we prefer to be in the larger community room across the hall, there are some technical issues there that we need to work out. There are some kinks that we know we need to work out. The camera angle is not perfect. We know that. We're going to be working on all of that. We ask you to be patient with us as we work through those issues. I will further mention that the meet and greet with Connor Reed that was scheduled for Monday at 5 o'clock has been rescheduled to next Monday, March 2nd from 5 to 6 here at the library. And in addition, Connor will begin holding office hours with select board members and team members beginning on Friday, March 6th at 10 a.m. with me here at the library. Can only be one select board member at a time, otherwise it's a meeting. And I expect there will be office hours scheduled a little bit later in Islington with Joe, and we will keep you posted on those. Next, I have a lot of announcements tonight. Please bear with me. Regarding the Prout Farm litigation, a couple of residents have asked me, Erin, you included, if the board will be making a statement relative to the recent special town meeting. And I will share here what I have said to those residents, which is that the board will tonight have our first opportunity to discuss this matter with our attorney since that meeting. And we need to have that discussion as a board before making any kind of statements. That said, we do want to thank everyone who braved a very cold night to participate in our democratic process. We know this is an issue that many residents care very deeply about. I have a few more updates, if you will bear with me. We are still accepting nominations for the John J. Cronin Public Service Award. Nomination forms are available online on the town's website, or you can contact the Select Board's office at selectboard@townhall.westwood.ma.us to have one sent to you. All nominations are due by March 9th. The nomination committee will review any new submissions as well as any past nominations. You can also call the Select Board office if you need help with that, 781-326-4172. Next, we have a special guest with us, Lizzie McGovern. Our library director is here to tell us about the library's One Book, One Town project. Welcome, Lizzie.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me have a few minutes of your update. I know you guys have a busy schedule, action tonight, but I'm excited. It goes off of what you were just talking about of community connection and being together. So we kicked off the One Book, One Town program last year with Celestine's Little Fires Everywhere. And this March, we are doing a new book called Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books by Kirsten Miller. One Book, One Town is a great opportunity to not just share the same reading experience, but really connect as a community on all different topics. And it really strengthens bonds and makes the community vibrant with this discussion. So it's whether you read it and discuss it with your neighbor, talk to someone at the grocery store, you're connecting, even if you don't go to one library event, which I hope you go to all of them, because we have a lot of great topics for this one. This one, it takes on the conversations around censorship, the history of censorship, banned books in general, and what the library means to a community. So of course I loved this book. So we have a series of programs scheduled throughout the month. So we're going to have an expert come and talk about the history of censorship and intellectual freedom. We're going to have 2 opportunities for community book discussions. So you can come to the Islington branch or the main library to, if you've read it, which I hope you all will, and discuss it in person. We're doing banned books trivia night. And we're going to actually do a showing of the documentary of the librarians, which is all about, which came out this year. And it's very, very prevalent that we're doing this book this year because of everything that's happening. But at a moment when conversation about access, representation, free expression are more relevant than ever, this One Book, One Town will be a great opportunity to come together, share different perspectives, and reaffirm the library's role as the place for inquiry, dialogue, and discovery. And as I always say, the library is the heart of Westwood community, I think. So I'm very excited. So please, there are free books. We'll be digging out the bookmobile soon with the help of facilities, and we will be handing out free books at Roach Brothers in a couple of weeks, and there'll be copies around town. There's some over here on display. And then we also got these adorable, awesome I Read banned books at the Westwood Library stickers. So if you're at home, please stop in, or magnets that we'll be handing out. So anyone here tonight, please take the I Read banned books. And we're just excited to see everybody engage. And I made sure that everybody on the panel has one too. So if you do go to the meet and greet, or you see Connor at your check-ins, make sure to ask him what page he's on. How much he likes it, okay? Let's keep him on his toes.
In 5 days.
Yeah. Listen, also, audiobooks are great, everyone. This is available on Hoopla and Libby to listen to or read. And there's a great resource guide for middle grade books too. So if you want to read as a family, there's great options of reading around this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. Really exciting. Thank you very much for being here.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I have one more piece of business in my update, which is the very happy duty of recognizing 3 of our 25-year employees. Each year, the Select Board recognizes town employees who have reached 25 years of service with the town of Westwood. This is a remarkable milestone and a testament to these employees' longstanding dedication and commitment to serving our community. This year, there are 3 employees who have reached this milestone. Cynthia Barenthaler at the Department of Public Works, Christine Regan in the Finance Payroll Department, and Patty Kamock in the IT department. Cindy and Christine could not be with us tonight. Patty is. I'm first going to read tributes for Cindy and for Christine, and then we'll be very happy to have Patty come up so we can honor her. So firstly, Cynthia Barenthaler at the Department of Public Works. This is a tribute written by Todd Fortune, our DPW director. Cindy Barenthaler has been instrumental to the success of the Department of Public Works over the past 25 years. Her knowledge of every facet of the operation is truly impressive, and she is a critical component of nearly everything that happens within the office. Promoted to office manager 5 years ago, Cindy routinely goes above and beyond her role, providing support across virtually every town department. She is widely relied upon as the primary point person for all FEMA and MEMA-related reimbursements, a responsibility that speaks volumes about her expertise and reliability. Cindy's dedication, institutional knowledge, and unwavering commitment over the past 25 years has been nothing short of incredible. And the Department of Public Works is extremely grateful to have her as a valued member of our team. And we are all very grateful to Cindy for her service to the town. Next, Christine Regan. This is a tribute written by our town accountant, Marie O'Leary. Christine Regan serves as the payroll coordinator in the accounting department and has been instrumental in advancing and strengthening the town's payroll and benefits operations over the past 2.5 decades. Christine serves as the primary point of contact across all departments for payroll operations, supporting employees at every level of the organization. She consistently provides exceptional customer service, approaching each question with patience, professionalism, and care. During periods of transition and change, Christine's steady leadership and attention to detail have ensured seamless payroll operations. She provides critical support during the annual budgeting process through detailed salary projections and assists with accounts payable and other accounting functions. We are grateful for her continued contributions and proud to recognize this significant milestone. We are all extremely proud of her service as well. And lastly, Patty Camo in the IT department. I have a beautiful tribute here written by Stephanie McManus, and I invite Stephanie to share that with us. Sure.
Put you on the spot. That's okay. It is with great pleasure that the town recognizes Patty Camo for her outstanding service as Assistant Director of LIAISON. Having worked her way up as an administrative support person to a systems analyst to a current leadership role, Patty has demonstrated exceptional technical expertise and a deep commitment to the town's operations. She plays a key role in maintaining and supporting the town's IT infrastructure, ensuring our systems remain secure, reliable, and responsive to the needs of all. What truly sets Patty apart, though, is her approach to customer service. Genuine people person and a joy to work with. No question is ever too small. A lot of them come from people sitting here. And she consistently makes staff feel comfortable seeking assistance. She also plays a critical role in supporting staff in their day-to-day work, whether troubleshooting technology issues or coordinating equipment updates. Her ability to explain complex issues clearly and patiently has built trust across the organization. The town is fortunate to have her professionalism and positive spirit supporting our employees and our technology every day.
Now I'd like to invite Patty to come up to receive this beautiful commemorative clock for her service. 25 years. Congratulations.
Thank you. Can you do those pictures? Okay, so yep. Can we get a group photo of Molly?
Okay, so
Yep. No,
this is our first time in a while.
Okay, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
You do that on Zoom. Congratulations again to Cindy, Christine, and Patty, and thank you all so much for your service. That concludes the chair's update. I will now turn it over to Connor for the town administrator's update.
Sure, thanks, Marianne, and thank you all for coming tonight. It's nice to see all of you folks in person. I have a couple of items I would just like to reiterate. One of the items that Marianne touched on is to thank our public works, police, fire, dispatchers, also the school facilities personnel. A lot of school districts are still closed today. That has a big impact on folks, and so Westwood getting up and running after some of the most snowfall most communities have seen ever is great. And Todd will be happy to know that driving in from 93 this morning, I think the first black pavement I saw was when I crossed into Westwood. So probably the only sidewalk I saw plowed. So they did a really great job, and I certainly appreciate the work that they do. As Marianne mentioned, I was going to be having a meet and greet on Monday. Mother Nature did not like my calendar plans, and so we've moved that. That'll be here at 5 next week. Please feel free to stop by. I take very seriously that a really important part of my job is that I need to build relationships with all of you in the community, that if we're going to be doing important and consequential work on your behalf, like building projects and things of that nature, that we need to be able to work together to share differences of opinion while still believing that everyone's working towards the same goals. And I think that's a lot easier to do if a first time you're meeting is not in a legal hearing, maybe just getting to know each other. So feel free to stop by on Monday. If that doesn't work, we will be starting in-person office hours. So in March, I will be having office hours here with Marianne next Friday, the 6th at 10. I will also printed this because I'll get it wrong. Well, maybe I didn't print it. Someone knows it. I will be doing in-person office hours with Joe. Not to put you on the spot, Joe, but Joe, your hand is raised. So Joe probably knows it. I will be doing office hours with Joe at Wentworth Hall, I think on Wednesday.
Yes,
Which
Yes.
one? March 18th
Yes.
at 4:30? Does that sound right?
yes, yes,
Good. Okay.
can do. Yep.
So,
My hand was, excuse me, but my hand was raised. This reminds me of, God rest my mother's soul, but so many times I heard you should be seen and not heard. But in this case, I think we'll have to get used to, I did want to chime in when you're done in regards to the employee recognition. So when you're done, Connor, just before we go to public and press.
fair enough. Thank you, Joe. So those will be in the Westwood Wire. If you're not subscribed, you ought to. It's a good resource for local government news and things happening in town. We'll have that online and also on social media. So come get to know me, preferably before town meeting, please. Thanks. Then also just to say thank you to the residents for your patience as we're digging out this week. There's also been some disruptions to things like trash. I know that can be frustrating for folks, but please understand everyone, not only in public works, but in all utilities, folks are working as hard as they can to get us back up to normal as quickly as they can. So that's it for my update. Thank you, Marianne. And Joe, if you would like to jump back in, I will happily hit pause.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Marianne, in regards to Cindy and Patty, and we have some terrific employees, but I have to tell you that before I ran for the select board, I went and met with the department heads. I can remember meeting with Todd and Brendan down on Carby Street, and Cindy was in the office there, and I had the wonderful opportunity to keep my mouth shut, my ears open, my eyes open, and watch her interact with some of the public that came in and was asking questions. And she was very warm, welcoming, and did a very thorough job. As far as Patty Camo goes, she should get the Employee of the Year award because she has helped more people keep the ship sailing, especially in the IT department. I've got no idea how she stays so calm during this when others are having a meltdown because their computer won't boot up or something. But Patty's another really terrific employee. I'm sorry I haven't met the payroll person. I got to know the payroll people at work quite a bit, but maybe this is a good thing that I haven't had the opportunity to meet her. But overall, we've got some terrific staff. I think we're very blessed to have them. Thank you. That's all I had to say, Marianne. Connor.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, we will now move to public and press. Again, this is our first hybrid meeting ever for the select board. So I think the way we'll do this tonight is we'll start with any of the folks who are here in person. If you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask, we'd ask that you please come to the table. The microphone will pick you up there. And of course, state your name and address, and then we can move to any questions. If we have folks online, if you could please put any questions or comments in the Q&A, please. So we can start. Anyone want to make a comment, question?
I'll start. Do I have 3 minutes?
You do?
Great.
Use the timer.
So, my name is Nada, Nada, Millisautia Beach, Fabrizio, and I live at 32 Webster Street. Thank you. On Monday, I submitted a formal request to the board regarding a matter that I believe rises to the level of paramount importance for the town. This issue concerns the current use of those titles, Assistant Town Administrator, Deputy Town Administrator, and whether those titles and any authority associated with them are legally supported under the town charter. As many residents may recall, our current charter was adopted by the voters in 2012, following approval at town meeting and enactment by the Massachusetts legislature through Chapter 56 of the Acts of 2012. That charter is not symbolic. It's the town's governing document. It defines the structure of our administration and reflects the will of the electorate. As part of that charter transition, the Assistant Town Administrator / Finance Director position was expressly abolished. The charter reconstituted the town administrator role and established a new structure going forward. Given that history, the public use of the titles Assistant Town Administrator and Deputy Town Administrator raises an essential legal question. Under what authority were these positions created, authorized, or continued? This is not a personal matter. It's not about any individual employee. It is about governmental structure, delegated executive authority, and adherence to the charter approved by the voters. If these positions have been lawfully established, then the public deserves transparency. The select board vote authorizing them, the approved job descriptions, the budget authorizations, the defined scope of authority, and confirmation of compliance with personnel policy requirements. If no such formal action exists, then we are potentially operating outside the structure mandated by our charter. And that is not a small procedural issue. It goes directly to lawful governance. Charter compliance is foundational. When administrative authority is exercised without clear grounding in the charter, it affects public trust, accountability, and the integrity of town government. For these reasons, I respectfully request that this matter be placed on the next available select board agenda for open public discussion. Residents deserve clarity. Governance questions of this magnitude should not remain informal or unexplained. This is about transparency. This is about adherence to the rule of law. And most importantly, this is about honoring the structure approved by the voters of Westwood. Thank you.
Here. Yes, please. Fine.
Thank you. Erin Sibley, 182 Bay Colony Drive. On February 2nd, Westwood held only the third special town meeting called by a citizen's petition in the last 68 years. I wrote and sponsored the petition. I worked with many other residents who called the special town meeting because we had been unable to get satisfactory answers to our questions regarding the town's lawsuit against the Westwood Land Trust and its rejection of a private offer of $475,000, which if accepted would have ended the lawsuit. Our neighbors turned out in such high numbers that the meeting began over an hour late. Following public discussion, a majority voted to approve, against the advice of FinCom, all 4 warrant articles we had proposed, including, quote, to recommend that the select board immediately withdraw, discontinue, and cease further pursuit of its lawsuit against the Westwood Land Trust. By these measures, the special town meeting was a resounding success. I don't think we should have had to resort to a citizen's petition to communicate with you. Nevertheless, I think it's reasonable to expect that you will listen when voters tell you clearly what we do and do not want. The select board now knows with certainty that the majority of Westwood residents who voted at the special town meeting do not support the lawsuit against the Westwood Land Trust. I strongly believe that public participation is essential to the functioning of an effective government whose decisions and policies serve our collective best interests. I also believe that listening to residents is the most important part of your jobs. Westwood residents took extraordinary measures to raise public awareness of the lawsuit and to make their opinions known to you. I hope that you will listen. Thank you.
Congratulations, Colin. Joelle Driscoll, 41 Russell Ave. And I'm here in regards to the FS1. Firstly, I 100% support FS1. I support all the firefighters. And I voted twice to put that building right where it belongs. And it didn't go through. But anyways, I'm here just to say that we live in a wonderful, wonderful community. And I really, really would like to see this project done correctly, not pushed through all the information, out there. And you're all doing a great job with it. I just want to reiterate that. But I'm here to request and ask a question. I've been following the FS1, I went to one of the forums, and I asked that, I know that we have 3 proposed sites that they would like to do a feasibility study on. I would ask that they do more than just those 3. I feel after going to the forum and the FS1, the information out there is just so everywhere. I don't feel like it's focused enough and done a thorough job enough on the other options. So that's my request, to maybe look at those options. The question I have is, as I've been watching it, the Deerfield site, there's so much talk about the softball field location where it would exit out by the library. And then there's this other section over by the American Legion. And I just wanted to get some clarification. When you talk Deerfield site, where are you looking? Is it all encompassing, or is it just, what is it? So again, I've asked that question a couple of times and I don't always get a clear answer, which is an indication I think the information out there might not be at the level where we're ready to take the next step. Thank you
very much. I will add that we do have an FS1 update.
Okay.
So I think we can get an answer to your question as part of that report.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Since we're talking FS1. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Julianne Bride. I live at 20 Whitney Ave, but my family has a property on Russell Ave, so we are abutters. In fact, that's the home I grew up in. Some of you may recognize that I was a member of FinCom for a number of years and more recently served on the Long Range Planning Committee. So like Joelle, I am fully in support of and recognize we need a new fire station. It's been on our capital plan for years. But I do have some thoughts in my recent kind of observations and participation where I can with the FS1 committee. So I came a little bit prepared. So I want to begin by saying I'm familiar with the process and the work that's been done to date. And I do sincerely appreciate the significant time and effort and thoughtful discussion the committee has dedicated to this work. their input is valuable, and I recognize the complexity of the decision before us. And I do see it's challenging in these committees because you don't always have a complete picture, all the information you need. So people are working with information they have, often when you're not experts, to inform. I also feel like this is an unprecedented situation for us. We are considering moving a public safety building to a new site and not building where it is today. I don't think the town has done that to date. We have rebuilt the police station, we've rebuilt Fire Station 2, but we did not look to move those locations and therefore have additional impact. So that said, in the transparency and sound governance, I believe we need to tap the brakes briefly and ensure the process itself is as consistent and comprehensive as possible. I think we need to bring the community along and continue to get involvement before we make any additional recommendation around funding. I've been reviewing the materials on Fire Station 1 and have several questions about the process and consistency. First, I see that the scorecard was recently created and been used to evaluate 3 of the 8 scenarios, but neglected to be used to evaluate all 8 scenarios. So I think in early January, the steering committee did review and took 5 of those potentials off the table. I do think it makes sense if we're going to use a tool, even though it might be a swag in some regards because of data, for the sake of fairness and methodological consistently, the scorecard should be applied to all 8 original sites. It would also seem appropriately to narrow the field. One of the attributes within the scorecard, so that's my recommendation 1 for consideration. I do feel within the scorecard, one of the attributes is labeled economic development. It's unclear to me, even after watching the meetings, what we're really considering when we mean that. From what I can understand, it appears we're referencing to the potential of using the existing site, if we were to move the fire station, for potential commercial development and additional tax base. That's great, but I asked again, if you're going to apply these things consistently, you would have to consider other commercial tax that would, consider the full economic impact, and the analysis should be brought in to include potential losses, such as impacts to existing businesses, displacement of residential properties, and reduction in residential tax base. I also encourage several important considerations that were not added to the scorecard: impact of building on green space beyond athletic fields, whether the sites contribute to a vibrant and walkable town center, elements that enhance the quality of life for the community, and direct impact on abutters, and including long-term noise pollution, documented property value effects. Estimates and comparable situations suggest potential property value reductions in the range of 10 to 15%, to equate 200,000. Thank you. I'll submit online, but I appreciate the time and consideration.
Thank you, Julie. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is David Smith. FS1 is the issue. I'm the facilities director.
Yes, sir.
40 Lynn Terrace,
Thank you.
Westwood. And I'm also the facilities director for First Baptist Church. So we have 8 acres of land in the abutting area to where you're talking. I'm not sure if you're aware that some of that land has been studied for about 40 years by Harvard and by the middle school for native species. And we're currently trying to repair some of the area that's been damaged from like telephone poles being put in and a tower that was put in. So we're actively working to turn this space into a more public space. And we've put in community gardens and flower gardens. And we're trying to basically enhance somebody's experience being in this space, visually, audibly, in every way we can. So I'm just hoping you take these things into consideration when you look at that. And I personally happen to be in that space every single day, because of, the land we have there. So if you'd like, any time to walk the space and see what is actually there now and what you'd be impacting, please give me a call. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else here in the room? Seeing anyone, do we have any questions on that? Okay. would you mind
Actually, it's
reading?
one comment.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
It's from Parker Harrington, 74 Stanford Drive. I would like to read into the record a formal note of appreciation and recognition for the hard work of the entire DPW for an outstanding job with the recent storm. The roads were cleared quickly and the town should be proud of our department.
Thank you for that comment. Right. Well, thank you all for participating. And we will move on now to scheduled action. And we have a special guest from the Westwood Little League, Brian Damari and his daughter with us tonight. And we are here to talk about the Westwood Little League Parade, which is a great thing to talk about in a snowy week.
Of course, yeah, oh my gosh, we're all looking forward to spring, right?
Yes.
We need the field of Morrison to melt.
Might take until May 2nd.
Exactly. And actually, my daughter reminds me too, it's the Westwood Little League and softball and youth softball parade too. So we have all the
Thank you.
Little League teams and
Thank
that's
you.
right. And all the softball teams that will be in the parade. And it's just such a fun morning for all the kids. They look forward to it every year. So this year we like to have it on Saturday, May 2nd. We'll step off from Pine Hill at 9 a.m. So we'll have everybody gather around 8:30 in the parking lot there and walk from Pine Hill down to Morrison Field. And we'll have a bunch of activities and things like that in the area beyond the Morrison outfield fence between the Road Brothers field for all the players. We'll have an on-field ceremony just after everybody arrives with the varsity baseball and softball teams will be in attendance. And we'd like to extend an invitation too for if a select board member would like to join us. So we always love that. And then following the kind of activities, we'll have our first majors game of the year that we played at Morrison. So we've checked with the fire department, the police department, and the school department with the facilities or the building use coordinator there. We have approval from all three to be lined up to help us. The fire truck leading the parade with the police department directing traffic and all the like, and the use of the parking lot of my town. So all that is firmed up, and we just like to ask for the permit to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your work on this event, which is one of the best events we have every year in Westwood. Thank you for the invitation. We love coming every year. We'll be there. Thank you. Joe, are any questions or would you like to make a motion?
I don't have any questions. They always do a terrific job, as you know, Marianne, and I'd be happy to make a motion for the select board to approve the Westwood Little League Parade for Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, with a rain date of Sunday, May 3rd, 2026, contingent upon final review by the Health Department, Rec Department, Public Safety, and the school departments.
I will second that motion out of necessity, and we'll do the roll call, seeing as we're hybrid. Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Brian.
appreciate it.
Good luck.
Great
We'll
move.
see you there. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
appreciate you guys working with us. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you again. All right, moving on with our scheduled action. We have Stephanie McManus here to talk to us about MWRA sewer debts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes. So just like all law runs we do in town, the select board must vote to approve it. So this specific item is for the sale of a sewer related bond. So at the last annual town meeting, which was May of 2025, through Article 7, the town voted to approve $500,000 to pay for the cost of engineering and what we call I-9 improvements. It's infiltration and inflow improvements to the town's wastewater collection system, basically the sewer pipes. So this article authorized the select board to participate in an MWRA program, which helps fund sewer system improvement projects through their I&I local financial assistance program. It's a great program. The town has been in this for a number of years. We do an every other year thing where 1 year we fund through the sewer retained earnings investigative work in the amount of $125,000. That's the town meeting as well. And then the following year, through that work of investigating with our engineering firm, they come up with projects to do improvements to the sewer lines. So the total grant received from the MWRA for this project is 75%, which is $375,000. That's just a straight grant to the town, which is great. And then the loan portion is 25% or $125,000 and will be in the form of a 10-year zero interest rate loan through the MWRA. So that's what we're here tonight to ask. You do not have to read the entire vote, Joe. You just have to make a motion, just a sentence or two that's included. So, and I will note one more thing: the paperwork. So this is a little old school. We still have to sign these borrowing bond sales in wet signatures. So if we could just have the board, and Joe, you're the clerk currently, so you're required to sign as the clerk by Monday morning. That would be great.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
No flight delays allowed.
Yeah.
Joe, any
I'm happy.
questions?
I don't, and I'm happy to make a motion unless there's some other discussion.
Not from me. Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, I'd be happy to make a motion for the select board to authorize the transfer of an amount up to $75,000 from the select board reserve fund for
No,
purposes.
wrong motion, Joe. Excuse me.
shoot.
Point of order.
I'm sorry, then I will need some help.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chairman, why don't I read it and he can adopt it?
Great, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm on a
Ahern.
So,
small screen.
so you should function,
Oh.
you should make a motion, Joe.
Yep,
for the
I have it,
select-
Pat.
You got it? Okay, go
Yep,
ahead.
I got it. For the select board to approve the sale of $125,000 sewer bond to Mass Water Resources Authority and to adopt the vote prepared by bond council in connection with the sale of town sewer bond MWRA dated March 9th, 2026. In addition, for the full text of the bond council MWRA vote to be included in February 25, 2026 select board decision notice in meeting minutes.
I will second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe?
I
And I vote aye as well. Unanimous vote in favor. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Moving on to our next agenda item, we have an FS1 update. With us is Board Spalding, the chair of the FS1 committee. Welcome. Thank you for being here. If you could please give us your full name and address first.
I am Ford Spalding and chair of the FS1 steering committee, and it's 10 Longwood Drive in Westwood.
Welcome.
Good to see you all.
Likewise.
I always like in-person meetings, which is good. I'm going to read what I have here, and then I'm happy to answer some questions. And I'm sorry for those that froze some things. I didn't know your questions, but I can answer some. In late November 2025, the FS1 steering committee received your committee charge with the deliverables and requested them by March 1. We're going to be able to do that before March 1. The deliverables were a clear written summary of programmatic needs, a completed and documented scorecard analysis for each short-term and long-term option, an explanation of all high, moderate, and low scores, including supporting data, a final recommendation to the select board, identifying which options should move forward for further study, community engagement, or funding. Our first meeting was held on December 1, 2025. And over the next 3 months, our committee held 12 posted meetings. The 9-member committee consisted of myself as chair, Jody Pizzarelli as vice chair, Ken Ayers, Peter Bean, Sarah Catley, John Cummings, Harry Davis, Paul DeLay, and Nancy James all served on that committee. We were assisted by Molly Fitzpatrick, Chief Steve Lund, Deputy Chief Colin McCarthy, Nora Langone, Steve Perkins, Allison McCarthy, and as of January,
we had Connor Reed. All committee members were engaged. Many of us were new to fire department policies as well as to Westwood. They were willing to learn and express their opinions, and your Westwood staff is amazing. On the town website, you will see our documentation of Westwood Fire Station 1 programmatic needs that is on the town website right now. This was developed with the help of Chief and Deputy Chief, a tour of the Needham Fire Station, a review and knowledge of local fire stations in the area. It is our recommendation that a new FS1 must be able to include all programmatic needs. We must have a site location that allows for this. What I like to say is the programmatic needs are the foundation of any design of a fire station. Our fire station must allow for housing of all necessary vehicles and equipment, must allow for the maintenance of these vehicles and equipment, must provide a safe and secure building that includes proper air quality, living areas, training areas, education space, proper decontamination space, office and confidential meeting space, secure storage for medical supplies, a triage room, communications, and much more. The health and safety and training space for our men and women is a top priority. We delivered on that request. On the town website, you can see our documented scorecard analysis for our 3 site options for consideration. That is up on the town website now. The goal is to eventually arrive at the one basic option for FS1. The 3 sites that require further professional study are the town-owned landlocked parcel located behind 736 and 738 High Street, commonly referred to as behind Starbucks. The Deerfield Elementary School property located at 72 Deerfield Avenue. And 3, the existing FS1 site at 637 High Street. These 3 sites require town meeting funding for a feasibility study of properties and schematic design services. The first 2 options will need considerably more work than the current FS1, but that still needs our attention. The first 2 sites will need to acquire direct access to High Street. Those discussions can take place during the formal review process over the months into the summer. Please remember that the first 2 sites are currently approximately 5 acres of town and school-owned land. A question may arise, why the first 2 sites? The topography is relatively flat, which means a 1-story firehouse could be built, which may possibly cost less than a 2-story building. It also allows the vehicle bays to have a front and rear direct access, which has some advantages. A 1-story building may allow us to be able to meet all programmatic fire station needs. The current location is challenging. In addition, if we can build on an alternative site, then the current station may be able to be occupied during construction. That could reduce costs. We did explore additional options, such as renovation of FS1, build on or adjacent to the town hall, police station, American Legion, or any combination of the 3. We thought about other resident sites. In fact, I had a meeting with one interested resident, and public property sites. These options were not accepted for a formal review based on ownership, perceived costs, and site restrictions. Finally, on this subject, we need to think about the future growth of the town and what it may mean for our fire service. According to the recent report of the town of Westwood for All Housing Production Plan 2025, the predicted population may grow from 16,857 in 2025 to 18,113 in 2013, 20,080 in 2035, and 22,182 in 2040. Building on land that can allow for expansion may make some sense. The deliverables were once again met per your request. We have started to look at the short-term options for our current FS1, which would be implemented if conditions were warranted based on the condition of the building at the time. I envision a short-term option could be up to 5 years in duration. On the town website under FS1 webpage, we have posted the PowerPoint of the 6 short-term options. That's for the current station if we have to move it. These options include using the current site and or the American Legion and or the Deerfield School. We are waiting to receive and review 2 requested reports. The first, which was received yesterday, but not discussed by the steering committee, is a preliminary environmental air quality inspection and of the current station. The second is a structural analysis, which has not been received, but we understand is due in the next week or so. And we need those in order to proceed with our further discussions. The FS1 steering committee voted at our meeting on Monday, February 23rd, the following motion that we are presenting to you, the board, this evening. Here's the motion. Move that the FS1 steering committee vote to recommend that the select board place an article or articles as may be necessary on the May 2026 annual town meeting warrant to appropriate funding as necessary for feasibility and schematic design services to evaluate 3 potential sites for Fire Station 1. The town-owned landlocked parcel located behind 736 to 738 High Street. The Deerfield Elementary property located at 72 Deerfield Avenue. And the site of the existing Fire Station 1 at 637 High Street. And further, that such funding supports site evaluations, alternative analysis, conceptual and schematic architectural design, engineering, cost estimating, environmental review, traffic analysis, public outreach, and other related professional services necessary to determine the preferred site and design approach for Fire Station 1. That was unanimously approved by our committee. In conclusion, our work is not done, as it is our intention to continue our work on the short-term recommendations for FS1, and also that may need a town meeting, a town meeting warrant article, and to continue our outreach to residents of Westwood as we lead up to the May 4th town meeting and beyond. It is important that we listen to our residents, educate, and communicate the importance of supporting our firefighters and achieve a successful conclusion for FS1. That is important for them and equally important for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ford. And I want to thank everyone on the FS1 committee for working so hard, so diligently over these past few months. I know it's been a lot of work and it's very substantive work. You met the mission. So thank you very much for that. Joe, I want to open it up to you for some questions, and then I'll have some questions.
I don't have any questions at this time, Marianne, but I do want to thank Ford and Jody for chairing the committee and the members of the committee. I know they put in an awful lot of hours just so Ford, so that you know and the others know that I did watch every single meeting. I thought you were very thoughtful, very deliberate, and I think the committee did an outstanding job. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Joe.
That's it for me, Marianne. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. We're in agreement on all of that. I'm actually first wondering if you had an answer to Ms. Driscoll's question about the Deerfield and what parts of the parcel are being.
We don't, at this point, we have no idea where the station would go because we haven't done any analysis or work, so we just don't know. What is very clear to me, and it has been since day one, and I think Molly and you all know about it, is what we haven't been able to do enough is communicate with the citizens. We've opened the door up for that, but you know, the only citizens that we've really seen is abutters, and rightfully so. We need to see them, hear from them. But we need to meet with as many residents as possible. We have to have a communication during this stage up to May, and sort of to educate ourselves about some of the issues, but also for us to help educate you all and have a conversation. Because that's what it takes to get things done. And I know that because of some of you know my work in another community. You've got to communicate and you have to get out there. And I would say our committee, as a group or individually, are more than happy to meet with anyone at any time. And I can say that for myself. And one of the things I was thinking about before I even came here is when I think of the communities that are abutters, and there are three communities, is having a meeting with those abutters, you know, and having that organized by the abutters and have us come and talk. I think all that would be very helpful because we have to get this done. We cannot get a no again for the firefighters. So we need to work together to do that. And I have a feeling, or my gut tells me, when I listen to what happened in the last election, everybody's in favor of doing something, is what that something is.
Please.
So, Board, thank you, and Jody and everyone on the committee. I obviously kind of came in at the tail end here, but have some experience with capital facilities planning. And one of the things that I want to thank you for acknowledging, but also for residents who came to speak tonight on this subject to, I hope, demonstrate that I think we're all agreeing and perhaps saying the same thing differently, is that the business before the select board tonight, for recommendation from the FS1 steering committee, for correct me if I'm wrong, is not the board's approving feasibility in its, projects proceeding tonight. Procedurally, for appropriation to do the work, to get to the bottom of those very good questions of what is the potential environmental impact, what's the stormwater, where would the exit be, where would the entrance be, what height should the building be? You can't really do that at a steering committee level. You need to bring in project management and design professionals. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be done without you being involved. And I think it's very clearly the select board's position on this project and FS1 steering committee that they want more folks. Neighbors are great, but also the community to get involved. So the request is to put something on the warrant so voters can hopefully approve a feasibility process. But that is a collaborative public process where the committee will be meeting publicly between now and May to try to learn more from neighbors and residents and to do outreach. The article that the board is considering later tonight would be part of the public hearing review by the Finance and Warrant Commission. We also have an item on the agenda for a requested fund transfer to do some preliminary work around wetlands and environmental concerns, as well as to have the ability to do some more communications, because I think there's a recognition and an agreement, and I see a lot of nodding heads and no one's throwing anything at me, so this is going okay, that we want to make sure that that information is available so that voters in Westwood feel like they have the information that they need to make the best choice for themselves, for their family, and for the fire department. So I guess that was a very long-winded way of saying what the FS1 steering committee is recommending and what the board is considering is not, okay, feasibility starts tomorrow. It's let's do the legal process we have to do so that you as citizens and voters see that being built before it goes to town meeting. And even after that point, if voters do fund it at town meeting, feasibility and schematic doesn't have to be, just kind of engineers behind closed doors pulling plans together. Those include neighborhood meetings. Those include planning sessions, feedback sessions. So I don't think anyone here is operating under the perspective that there's any way that we're all doing this except together. So hopefully that helps. as far as being consistent or comprehensive or involving the community, we're agreeing. And the step between building and, things like debt exclusions is feasibility to make sure that we're measuring 2, 3, 4 times to count once. Is that fair?
Totally agree.
I do have a question for you, Ford. You've done an excellent job with identifying the programmatic needs. And you go through it, this is on the website, and you talk about, whether something is required, a best practice, et cetera. And I just saw this afternoon and looking at this again for maybe the 5th time, but the nursing room for the firefighters is listed as a best practice. I'm going to ask that your committee rethink that, because I personally believe it is required by the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which requires public employers to provide private non-bathrooms free from intrusion by other employees with an electrical outlet, seating, table, and a lock. I don't think that's a best practice. I think that's a requirement of Massachusetts law, and I think we need to protect our firefighters, our female firefighters. So I hope you will reconsider that.
And I can answer the question. When we did a community center in Dover, we had a nursing room which was required by us as a committee, let alone anything else. So I would answer that. You're absolutely correct. Where those best practices, a lot of it came from, there are code requirements. There are fire department best practices, they call it. That wasn't necessarily our words. That was what they used. So that's where a lot of this came from. Those are working documents. They're not final documents. So I agree with you.
Thank you very much.
And I agree with you. And in practice, I've done it.
I appreciate that. That's an important, as you know, that's an important deficiency that exists now. We want to make sure we have that it's not a nice to have or a best practice. It's required by law. We want to protect our firefighters. So thank you for that.
And we know we had an issue with our firefighter here in Westwood that needed that service too. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Ford. Anything else, Joe? From you?
No, not for, other than, we put together a great team, and I've been very impressed with what they've put together. Thank you to all.
And it wasn't just me that put this together. It was the committee. I was just the chair.
We know, and
You know how that works.
Appreciate, yes, we do. We appreciate every single one of your members, and we will be discussing your motion and a couple of agenda items.
Thank you.
Tonight. Thank you so much, Ford. Okay, moving on. Select Board Reserve Fund transfer. I'll turn this over to you, Connor. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. So this, I think, is very germane to the conversation we're having right now about work of the FS1 steering committee, and also the growing level of awareness and interest of citizens and neighbors that this project is getting back on the tracks. Later tonight, the board will be considering under their whole business about town meeting articles, whether or not to have particular articles for a full-fledged feasibility process at town meeting. In my view, I'm not perhaps the most patient town administrator. I think May is quite a bit away, and that there's plenty of good and important work we can be doing now. The select board in Westwood, as a, I think, longstanding practice and through the appropriations of town meeting, maintains a reserve fund that they're able to allocate funding out towards for projects that may not have been in the operating plan at the time that it was built over a year ago. Obviously, this fits that bill. And so I am requesting of the board a transfer of $75,000 from that reserve fund, which is a balance of, I think, $355,000 per year. There's $304,000 currently in this fund for purposes of environmental and site due diligence at Deerfield School, Town of Lamheim Starbucks, and other town-owned sites as appropriate, including the Legion. This is meant to be a broad request so that we can make constructive use of the months of March and April. It includes professional services, certain things in my experience, with building projects, things like if there's a significant amount of wetlands and the only place you have site access, that's kind of a binary thing. You can knock that site out of contention. And so, want to front load some of those things and get as much of that, get as smart as we can about that, as soon as we can, and have as much of that be known to the public as we can leading into town meeting. The request is also broad in that, as I'm sure folks are aware, the board is certainly aware, there was a comprehensive facilities needs assessment study done in town looking at all municipal and school facilities. There are a lot of needs. There's no way around that. And so when there's a recommendation from the FS1 steering committee to look at 3 potential sites, ultimately only one will be picked and go before voters and hopefully be approved. That, however, doing things like wetland analysis, engaging with the abutters, developing some intelligence around the topography, the land use, things of that nature will benefit the town and all of you folks on a go-forward basis, because we have a lot of building decisions that will need to be made in the coming 10 to 20 years, and mapping out some of these things now can help us be as thoughtful and intelligent as we can be while making those capital planning decisions with you folks. So this transfer is for that due diligence, wetland environmental review, public outreach for both sites, and also related to the broader master facilities planning. This could include things like public materials explaining site constraints, environmental findings and project considerations, a butter notice and direct engagement, information sessions and forums, graphic renderings, things of that nature, and just getting as much information as we can, as quickly as we can, to support both the FS1 steering committee, the select board, and this community, so that we are able to answer more of those questions. Because I'm sure we're going to be at town meeting in a couple of months and we're going to ask similar questions. And while for folks who are familiar with building projects saying, well, that's what feasibility is for, just do this and then we'll have answers, that can sometimes feel frustrating, I think. And so we want to try to get as much productive work done in the next 2 months as we can. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Connor. I appreciate the proactivity, and I think what's important to understand about what you're proposing is that this work will not just be helpful as we think through FS1, but these properties in general. The land behind the Starbucks, the Deerfield. We don't know what we don't know in terms of wetlands, and we need to know that. Whether it's for this project or any other project we might think about in the future, if, and some issues have been raised about that property behind Starbucks, we need to know. And before we spend a lot more money, let's take this somewhat baby step, figure out what's there in terms of wetlands, get that understood, and then we can go from there. But we need to know this. So I appreciate the proposal. Joe, any questions or comments from you?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a small step, and Connor, I think that's an excellent request, and I support it fully.
Joe.
All right, Joe. Well, I will entertain a motion.
I'd be happy to. I'd like to make a motion the select board authorize the transfer an amount up to $75,000 from the select board reserve fund for purpose of wetland delineation at the Deerfield School, assessors map 14 lot 094, and the town-owned land on High Street, assessors map 14 lot 131, as well as map 14 lot 095, the American Legion property, for the purpose of further analysis and abutter and community outreach, as mentioned, related to FS1 and municipal facilities planning, as more fully described in the reference motion from the town administrator, and to take any other action relative to. That's my motion.
I second that motion out of necessity. I'll take roll call. Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. That's a unanimous vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Forward to working with the committee and keeping the board of the public informed.
Thank you very much, Connor. Okay, moving forward. Our next agenda item is talking about a draft public comment policy. And I'll tee this up for Connor. As some of you probably know, the form of public comment in select board meetings has historically always been at the discretion of the chair of the select board. And with Connor coming on board, I asked him, based on his experience and based on the desire expressed by some residents to have a better understanding of the expectations of our public comment period in our meetings, to draft a public comment policy, so that it is not a matter that is based on the discretion of a chair, but based on an approved policy by the select board that we have to clarify and improve our public comment process. So I asked Connor, based on his experience, to draft such a policy for us for discussion.
Sure. Thank you, Marianne, and thank you, Joe. So the policy that I've drafted is something that I believe is consistent with not only open meeting law, but the Barron decision from the SJC regarding how public comments in open meetings ought to be and must legally be conducted. To Marianne's point, one of the things that the goal here, it probably sounds counterintuitive, of we're trying to have a more inclusive process, so we're making policy around it because that can feel kind of bureaucratic. But it's really about being, in my view, forthright about here is how these meetings will go. Because for folks who don't routinely go to municipal meetings, it can feel sometimes intimidating or unclear exactly how do you participate, when, what does that look like? Will there be any follow-up? How does this go? And so trying to balance all of those different pieces. The policy, really the goal here is to, I think it's consistent with board, both Marianne and Joe's desire to move back towards hybrid and in person, and also wanting, where we can feasibly, to have a bit more of an interactive meeting. So one of the things that the board has done that can be helpful, particularly for folks who, these meetings can go 3, 4, 5 hours. Having public comment as a posted item, in my professional judgment, is helpful because folks who are juggling their professional responsibilities, their familial responsibilities, can somewhat reasonably look at an agenda that starts at 6 and see public comment as the first 3 items and know, well, it's probably pretty close to 6. That said, there are sometimes meetings where you come with your prepared remarks, but then something interesting, because these meetings are occasionally interesting, we try to keep it that way, comes up 2 hours into the meeting, and maybe you just have a point of clarification. And so the policy would establish and formalize that at the top of the meeting. You have dedicated time for public comment. There's no content restrictions under First Amendment rights. We, of course, encourage people to be reasonably civil and friendly, but that you would have 3 minutes, that if it's something that, you're asking a question that we know, we have the answer ready, that we can answer you. And if we don't, to let you know, that's a good question. We don't have the answer right away. We'll follow up with you. Or that's a great question, but it's actually not under this board's jurisdiction, but here's whose jurisdiction it is under, and try to get you connected with whether that's a different municipal board, whether it's a county or state government issue. And also allowing flexibility for the board, again, back to the example that I got off topic from. If a business item is being discussed an hour or 2 into the meeting, the board has to balance, and it sometimes can feel, and I'm not necessarily speaking about Westwood's board only, but for any municipal board, they have public work they need to get through in a posted agenda. And so there has to be some amount of parameters on for how long the commentary goes on, how many times can folks come up and continue, because they have business of the public to dispatch. That said, if a meeting is going well, from a timing perspective, you only have a couple of people who are there, and someone has a clarifying question on a business item, the chair could have discretion to say, sure, what's the question, and follow up. I think that gives a bit of a summary on it. Marianne, I hope. Joe, I hope that reflects your read of the policy. I have no pride of ownership in it. Again, my concern is trying to give a starting point for the board to have this discussion and give me some further direction tonight to bring perhaps a final version back at a subsequent meeting. We would have it posted for the public so folks feel like they know how are we going to come to these meetings and participate. And hopefully that would generally be a good thing. I think it'd be a good thing. And I think the board does too, but.
Thank you, Connor. Joe, any thoughts you want to share?
I do, Marianne. Thank you. I can't claim to know everything. And I like hearing from people. And I hear from people all the time. I see you walking up and down Washington Street. And I enjoy that. And I enjoy talking to the people and learning from them. Connor, my concern is, and we discussed this, I'm going to go to additional information and clarification under posted business items. And I'm looking at, for example, if a resident in the meeting cannot hear the deliberation or needs clarification on the matter being discussed or presented, they may raise their hand to be recognized for questions and clarification. The chair reserves the right to limit the amount of such questions, and goes on. And then further up, it talks about people can comment once. I personally feel as though if we have agenda items and people will have questions about those agenda items when they come to the meeting and when they hear us deliberate and when they hear others speak as well. I'm personally of the opinion, I think we ought to give the public the opportunity to speak and ask questions after the agenda items. I like having questions in the beginning, but shoot, I'm not as sharp as I used to be. And all of a sudden something will pop into my head during a meeting on a hearing on something. I'll go, oh, I'd like to ask a question about that. I don't want to feel stifled. I don't want the public to feel stifled. I think we're to give them an opportunity to speak. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Joe. So I think I was trying to straddle that of giving the benefit to folks of knowing that there's dedicated time up front. Again, it's ultimately going to be your Marianne's call. When I think of, the timed 3 minutes come up once, that in my mind is for the formal posted comment period. But then if there's time, I don't think it would force the board not to let somebody ask a follow-up. But I appreciate the concern in trying to get it written right.
Yeah, I appreciate.
I learn an awful lot from people. I keep my mouth shut, my ears open, I listen and I learn. I think that's a great benefit of our meetings, especially the way we're doing them now.
Agree with you there, Joe. I think as written, but we can, and we're not going to vote on this tonight. We wanted to have a discussion, give some feedback to Connor, and then he can go back and keep working on it. I think that as drafted, as I read it, it does provide for the opportunity for people to ask questions later in the meeting at the discretion of the chair, given the business that has to be done. Obviously, there's always a balancing in terms of time and other items that may be on our agenda that may be timed with respect to speakers coming in and out. You know what I'm talking about. So I think we can give you that direction tonight, Connor, and you can continue to work on it and bring it back to us in another version. Joe, does that make sense?
It does, but I would prefer to err on the side of having the meeting run a little bit longer and then have to put some constraints in. I mean, we've all been beaten up over the fact that people feel as though we're not listening. This is a perfect opportunity to listen. Let's listen to them. Let's let them speak and let's listen. If it gets out of control, then we'll put some handcuffs on.
Well, we can't do that. Be very clear, we're not doing that, Joe.
I'm talking about procedural wise.
I just want to be clear.
Yeah,
we're
you can be
not-
clear, but I'm going to be clear as well. We have to give people the opportunity to speak.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Which is why we're doing this, so we can make that very clear to people. You know, we can have this as a policy, which we've never had before. So I think this is a very good step, and we'll bring this back at one of our next meetings,
Yes.
maybe our next
Yeah,
meeting.
that would be the goal. I think, Joe, are there any other particulars of the policy that you would like more attention on, or was it really just about providing clarity that, you know, subject to the meeting proceeding, that there can be follow-up?
Thank you, Connor. And again, you and I did discuss this. I'm looking at the follow-up protocol at the end of your document. I wrote down 5 questions that came up tonight. And as I said to you, I think we ought to make sure we're clear on these at the end of the meeting and make sure they go onto the front of the agenda for the next meeting.
Right, and I attempted to capture that with the board will endeavor to provide either an appropriate referral or a response or status update at a regularly scheduled meeting in the future. Do you feel
Terrific.
that's okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great, thank you.
And just to reiterate, I'm sorry, Joe. Did I
No,
interrupt
just
you?
that the public understands that we've all heard people say, we ask questions, but we never get an answer. Let's make sure the public knows loud and clear tonight, we will follow up on your questions, period.
You kind of took the words out of my mouth.
I'm sorry, I apologize. You're the chair.
No, don't. It's good. We're in agreement. The idea here is if people ask a question in our meeting, we'd like to answer it. If we can't,
Right.
we'll endeavor to answer it at the next meeting or refer people to someone who has the answer if it's, like you said, a state fed issue. But that's the idea behind this, to be responsive and to answer questions. So
I don't want to immediately look for a third rail to grab, but I want to acknowledge from folks who are here and from the board that, you know, the board adopting a policy is beneficial in that there's some consistency. Future boards are always within their rights to change policy. Policy also can't supersede state law. So there are certain matters, like things that are under executive session privilege as a matter of state law, that it may feel inconsistent for the board to say we want to have a policy where there's a question, we will follow up at the next meeting. But if the question is directly germane to something protected by executive session, they are legally obligated not until that matter has been resolved to follow up. So I want to just make that clear. I think folks who are super into these meetings probably know that already, but for anyone who's on Zoom or following along at home, I just want to make sure that there's clarity that this is trying to get, I think, the board to the maximally participating place we could be, but that there are certain restrictions under state law that exist.
Great point. Great point.
okay,
I will do a revision for next time, and thank you both for your feedback.
thank you, Connor. Moving on to old business, we're going to talk about annual town meeting articles for annual town meeting. Molly and Connor.
So just as a starting point to the conversation, just where we are, we have 13 budget articles, 3 select board articles, 9 planning board articles, 1 citizen petition, and 12 miscellaneous articles. So we're going to give a couple of updates on some of those, especially around the miscellaneous articles tonight. But first, I'm going to ask Stephanie to start with a brief update on budget article 3, which is the operating budget.
Yes, thank you. The last time I was in front of the board presenting on this, I believe, was late January. And at that time, I went through the municipal budget as well as the overall operating budget. And the school's number at that time was a 4.6%. So I'm just here with an update. They did meet on Monday night, and the school committee voted for a number 61.9, I think will now be the total school budget, which is a 4.9% increase over FY26. So that will be an additional $352,000 to balance in the budget. And I'm just here tonight to say that The plan would be to revise the local receipts projection to reflect an additional $352,000 for a total increase in FY 27 of $402,400. So that the total budget for local receipts will be just over $5.5 million. So this adjustment is based on actual revenue collections over the past 5 years, which have demonstrated consistent growth. Just for reference, the FY 25 total was 8.8 million, 9.5 million in 24, and 8.7 million in FY 20. About 2 million to 2.5 million in each of those years was specifically for investment.
No.
For investment income, but even without that number, the total for each year was between $6.5 and $7 million of local receipts. So it can support the 5.5 budget, I believe. And also, just noting that this is consistent with what we've done the last 2 years. We've increased local receipts just based on evaluating the actuals versus where we are. So it'll be a total over the last 3 years increase in local receipts of 1.4 million, which can still support based on actuals that are coming in. So I will be in front of the board again, March 9th, to give a more detailed, just check back in on the overall budget and what that looks like. And then we'll be going to the Finance and Warrant Commission on their March 10th or 10th meeting to also give them that. Oh, yes. That's big. One item, we have a few assessments that are outstanding this time of year. Blue Hills Regional School. Some of those are significant. One that's a little bit more significant this time of year, which is still outstanding, is the health insurance rates. So right now, we have an increase of a total of 8.5%, estimated to increase for the FY 27 health insurance assessments over FY 26. The GIC, the Group Insurance Commission, is scheduled to meet tomorrow, actually, to vote their final rates. They did indicate that there's a possibility that won't happen. They've had some feedback on what they're considering doing in order to keep rates down. So they might be reevaluating, but my hope is that they will vote the rates tomorrow. We'll do our projections on our end for actuals and who's enrolled in different plans and what those rates look like, and hopefully come to you on March 10th for the final number for health insurance. That would be the plan, but that's still up in the air right now. That 8.5 could be higher or lower. Not sure. So just keeping that in mind. Big TBD.
If I can just add to that, for board's benefit or anyone following at home, the local receipts discussion that Stephanie's having right now is in writing on page 47 of the municipal budget book, which is online. So folks can take a look where that
Overall budget book.
the overall budget. Sorry.
Thank you for
The overall budget book. Thank you. On page 47, where that shows your actual, as a community, your actual collections rather than your budget. And so that's where that analysis that Stephanie performed that I concur with stems from. I'm looking at the real collection of these revenues. There's always a value in being quite conservative when you're revenue forecasting, where you don't want to be overly sunny and optimistic on what those marks will be. But there is room there to keep that consistent annual increase to the budget forecast based on the true growth in that revenue category.
Thank you both. Joe, you've got a question, comment?
I do. No, Stephanie always does an outstanding job. And Stephanie, thanks for the budget that you sent to me. My question is, knowing how thorough Stephanie always is, and she's putting stuff up on display, and since this is our first hybrid meeting, was anything that Stephanie discussed put up on the screen like she normally does?
No,
we're trying.
I don't have my 30 slides like I usually do tonight, Joe. Sorry.
I'm
That
sorry?
will be it. I don't have anything to present tonight.
Okay, no, I was just thinking about I was more concerned about, since this is our first hybrid, if I was missing something, and usually I do, but no, that's
That'll
fine.
be, the plan will be for that to be at your March 9th meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
And Joe, that's part of us navigating the new terrain as well of having the meeting and being able to share content. So we're gonna be learning as we go, and I promise we'll get better every time.
Terrific. Okay. No, Stephanie's always so thorough. So I was, I'm looking around my screen here, so that's fine. No, I don't have any questions, Mary Ann. Thank you.
Okay, Joe. Thank you, Stephanie. Back to you, Molly.
All right, so we're gonna discuss moving 3 of the 12 miscellaneous articles to select board articles. The first would be select board Article 4, local option, acceptance of MGL Chapter 200A, Section 9A, disposition of abandoned funds. And I'm gonna turn it back to my friend Stephanie to talk about that.
Yeah, please bear with me for probably one of the most boring topics on today. So this article, like Molly just said, is seeking authorization from the town to accept Mass General Law, Chapter 200A, Section 9A, which governs the disposition of abandoned funds held by municipalities. So the town already complies with Chapter 200A in identifying and reporting abandoned property, such as uncashed vendor checks, payroll checks, and other outstanding payments. So under current practice, after the required holding and notice periods have been satisfied and funds are legally deemed abandoned, they must be remitted to the composting estate. So this section would provide for an alternative procedure for the disposing of these abandoned funds, known as people call them clearings, including all the things I just listed. So adopting this statute allows for a more efficient and expedited process for disposing of abandoned funds, allowing the town treasurer to take these funds as revenue into the general fund after certain procedures have been followed. If it's not adopted, the town would need to follow the Mass Unclaimed Property Division guidelines and use their due diligence to notify the recipient and then send the funds to the state annually. So additionally, this is important to note that the Department of Revenue has also suggested recently the adoption of this section, in case you haven't, which Westwood has not yet adopted this, to allow towns to eventually, after a variety of statutory requirements are met, keep any unclaimed excess equity collected as a result of the tax foreclosure process. I do want to note this article does not raise or appropriate any funds. It just simply authorizes the town to retain the abandoned funds after all legal requirements are satisfied, and basically just keep us in line with mass law. Bit of a housekeeping article.
Yeah, an important one.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you, Stephanie. And you made that interesting. Oh, Joe, any questions?
None.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, so second would become select board Article 5, feasibility and schematic design funding for Fire Station 1. As Mr. Spalding mentioned, the SS1 steering committee voted to recommend that the select board place an article on this town meeting warrant to appropriate funding for feasibility, schematic design, and related services for 3 potential sites: the landlocked parcel behind 736, 738 High Street, the Deerfield Elementary School property at 72 Deerfield, and the existing Fire Station 1 property at 637 High Street. Sort of read the whole motion out that the requested appropriation would support comprehensive feasibility work, including evaluations, conceptual and schematic designs, engineering, cost estimates, environmental reviews, traffic analysis, public outreach, and other related professional services necessary to select or determine the preferred site. So the next logical question here is, what would that cost? We expect, based on the quotes that we've been receiving, that the cost would be somewhere in the $300,000 range. Connor and I want to finish drilling down on some of those numbers before we finalize the number for the warrant, but we will have that by your March 9th meeting.
Great, thank you, Molly. Joe, any questions, comments?
None.
Great.
Then we have what will become Select Board 6, a street acceptance of Birch Lane, and I'm actually going to turn this over to Pat, as he's been taking the lead on this one.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a work in progress. There's a homeowners association, and we're working through what betterments we need, and what betterments they're willing to undertake. Their counsel is not going to be back till the end of the week, but we'll have a meeting with him and try and determine what the dollar amount of the betterment is. It's at least 28,000. It may be significantly more. There's a stormwater separator in the street that we need to look at operationally, and we're working with Todd to make sure that it's operating up to operational standards. That's the issue that we're working on right now. More to follow.
Thanks, Pat. Joe, any questions?
No, just two comments. One is, it took me a little bit of work looking at the map that was in the packet. I finally had to go to Google Maps. And Pat, I know it usually takes a few town meetings to get these things done, but when it does go to town meeting, we need to have something that people can read, because I couldn't read that map. For anything.
Well, so I'm not a mapologist or whatever people who make maps are, but I'm happy to find a better one. What is it? I'm sorry.
Cartographer.
Yeah, see, I
Anyways.
prefer mapologist, but that's okay. Making up
And-
words as we go here tonight. Yeah, Joe, I'll work on it with you. That's fine.
Thanks. And the other thing is that storm scepter. They're supposed to be maintained every year, so if this hasn't been maintained, then you're gonna have to figure that into the equation.
Yes, and that's what we're working on, Joe.
Yep. I'm good, Mary Ann. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
So those are the three that we're recommending moving. So we started with 12 miscellaneous, recommending moving 3 to select board articles. That leaves 9 remaining. I had mentioned in previous meetings, both for the select board and FinCom, that we had reserved a number of articles for anything potentially with FS1. Now that the recommendation is to move forward with feasibility design, we're comfortable eliminating a number of those miscellaneous articles. So at this time, we're recommending town meeting, where are we going for this? Both staff have been eliminating 5 miscellaneous articles in addition to moving the 3 miscellaneous articles, which would leave us with 4 miscellaneous articles on reserve for any potential unknowns over the next week or 2.
Thank you very much, Molly. Joe, any questions, comments?
I've been conditioned over the years not to take miscellaneous articles off. Pat, are you okay with this? I know you're always reluctant. I'm sure you and Molly discuss if I do have to ask.
I've worked with Molly on this.
Okay.
I think we're in a good place. We have 4 articles, and we've really narrowed it. We're in a better place than we usually are at this time, is what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way.
Okay.
Joe-
Sorry, Connie, from past meetings. I've just been, don't take that miscellaneous article off.
I have been known to say that, Joe.
Yeah. Marion, you need me to make some motions?
Yeah, but before you do, I just wanted to make the comment that I think you and I are on the same page with respect to the feasibility work for FS1. And as Connor said, we're not voting tonight for the funding on that. What we're doing is voting to put that on the warrant so that will go to the voters, and we'll have an update on the estimated cost for that. We know it's in the 300,000 range, but I'm certainly in support of doing that, in support of the work that the FS1 committee has done on that, and I think that's a good step.
I agree.
So with that, I will entertain some motions.
All right, let me start with, I'd like to make a motion to convert miscellaneous Article 8 to Select Board Article 4, adopt the local option by accepting Mass General Laws, Chapter 200A, Section 9A, disposition of abandoned funds.
Second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Unanimous vote in favor.
Give me a second here. This is tough on a small screen. The feasibility, would you like me to do that one, Marianne, or are we just holding on that?
Yes.
Okay, make a motion to convert miscellaneous Article 5 to Select Board Article 5, funding for a feasibility study for FS1. Pat, do you need me to read the whole thing?
I think that's sufficient. And I will second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, unanimous vote in favor. Are you willing to make the next motion, Joe?
I'm not so sure because I wasn't sure where we stood. You're talking about Article 6 for the Birch Street article?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm not prepared for that.
okay. So, Joe, let me,
I'm not sure which one we're converting, Pat.
I don't think it matters which one we convert.
Oh.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, only that you convert one to the Birch Street acceptance.
Okay, I'd be happy to make a motion to convert a miscellaneous article to be named at a future date for street acceptance of Birch Street.
I will second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. That's a unanimous vote in favor. Joe, I will entertain a motion to remove miscellaneous articles number 2, 6, 7, 9, and 10, resulting in 4 miscellaneous articles remaining on the warrant.
Okay, I'll make a motion to remove miscellaneous article 2, 6, 7, 9, and 10.
And I will second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. That's a unanimous vote in favor. Thank you very much, all of you. That takes us to our next agenda item, which is the 2025 Housing Production Plan Review. With us, we should have Amanda Wolf, our Housing Director. Good evening, Amanda. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. We also have our chair of the Housing Partnership, Matt Giordano, with us.
Welcome, Matt.
Oh, sorry, my camera just went off. Hi, hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome, Matt. Thank you for being here. We, as some residents may know, we had a very lengthy conversation with you about the housing production plan about a month or so ago. You are returning to us. We had suggested at that time that you vet this through some other committees in town, and you have now done that. So we'd love to get a brief update from you.
Yes, absolutely. So on the January 5th Select Board meeting, we were asked to bring this to Long Range Financial Planning Committee as well as the FS1 Steering Committee. As we saw earlier, when the FS1 matter was discussed, they had a tight deadline to work with, so they weren't able to dedicate an entire agenda item to this, so they were encouraged to read the plan. And then on February 13th, I was able to present to the Long Range Committee. While neither group recommended any changes, I discussed with other staff as well as our chair kind of if there's any tweaks we should make based on how those discussions went. And so as a result, we made 3 changes since the last draft that was presented to you that aren't changing anything in terms of intention, but just clarifying things that we wanted to make sure reflected how it was discussed in the housing partnership meetings in writing as well. So the first change was in the comprehensive needs assessment and section 2.2.1 on page 5, where we wanted to clarify the inherent flaws of the population projections. We discussed this extensively in our meetings, but the UMass Donahue Institute population projections are only based on birth, death, and migration trends. So they don't factor in everything, including zoning capacity. So we clarified further in that section that with our zoning capacity and land availability, we're likely never going to exceed 20,000 people. The second change was in the community engagement section, where we just added a new section, section 3.7 on page 22, where we just highlighted some of our engagement efforts since the public hearing opened. And then lastly, in section 4.2 of the goals, section, strategy 2F, which specifically was a reach goal to increase our subsidized housing inventory by 2%. We wanted to clarify that that doesn't necessarily mean that many new units as a new construction, that this can be achieved in other ways, such as conversion of existing market rate units, or, you know, when developers opt to go above and beyond the required affordable percentage. So just clarifying that we're not necessarily saying that many new units, but maybe the conversion of units as well. Those are the 3 votes, and I'm going to briefly hand it over to Matt, our chair, just to add any comments that he wishes.
Thank you, Amanda. So good evening. My name is Matthew Giordano, chairperson of the Housing Partnership and Fair Housing Committee. So Amanda Wolf, Housing and Land Use Planner, just provided you details on the feedback from the FS1 Steering Committee and Long Range Financial Planning Committee, but I want to emphasize why this housing production plan matters for Westwood. So I'm going to say that with a 3-tiered approach. Firstly, maintaining local control. So a strong housing production plan is fundamentally about maintaining local control over housing development. By staying above the 10% subsidized housing inventory threshold and demonstrating our commitment through approved plans like this one, we protect ourselves from unfriendly Chapter 40B, comprehensive permit applications that can override local zoning. An approved HPP gives the tools to shape the development in ways that align with our community's values. Secondly, we're meeting real community needs. This plan addresses concrete needs. We've identified through the extensive community engagement our aging population of 24.6% of residents are over 60, and need options to downsize while staying in Westwood near family and friends. Young professionals, the smallest age group in our town, need starter homes and affordable options to put down roots here. And we need housing for the essential workers our community depends on: teachers, firefighters, public safety officers, who struggle to afford living in the town they serve. So what did the residents tell us they wanted? More townhouses, 2-family homes, and walkable mixed-use neighborhoods near transit and amenities, the missing middle housing that's currently underrepresented in this town. And they want all of this while maintaining the village character, the natural resources, and the quality schools that make Westwood special. So lastly, a thoughtful roadmap. The plan provides a roadmap for responsible growth that respects our limited land capacity. And our analysis shows that the land capacity, as mentioned, will likely prevent the population from growing beyond that 20,000. So this isn't about unlimited development. It's about smart planning that preserves Westwood's village character while creating diverse housing opportunities through strategies like encouraging mid-density housing, supporting accessory dwelling units, and pursuing mixed-use development near transit. The housing production plan and the housing partnership has worked very diligently on this plan with input from residents, developers, property managers, and multiple town committees. We're ready for your review, and we really look forward to your feedback. So really appreciate the time that you've taken to look through this and all the hard work that everyone's put on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew and Amanda. Thank you for all your hard work on this. This is very significant work. Again, we had a very lengthy presentation from you in January. We appreciate that. Appreciate the updates that you've given us and that you've made as described. Joe, any questions or comments from you?
My only comment is I certainly was aware of what was happening in developing this plan. Matt, you did a great job chairing. Amanda, you certainly carried the group through this and did an excellent job as the point person. I also want to thank Rob Gotti, because his recommendation to go before a couple other committees, I think, has proved to be fruitful. And you guys did a great job on that. So that's it from me, Marion.
Getting a little echo from you, Joe. Well, I concur with what you said, and I would entertain a motion if you're ready, Joe.
I'm happy to. Let's see how this goes. I'd like to make a motion for the select board to vote on 1, the recommendation of the housing production plan as presented to the planning board, and 2, the adoption of the housing production plan conditional upon no further revisions requested by the planning board.
Second that motion out of necessity. Roll call vote. Joe?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Unanimous vote in favor. Amanda and Matthew, thank you both very much.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Amanda.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to our next agenda item, which is Westwood Media Center, transfer of funds.
Sure, thank you, Marianne. As the board is aware, the town has payments that are contractually obligated to Westwood Media Center as part of three agreements. Two are agreements with Comcast and Verizon as cable providers to your community that have certain stipulations as to what's called PEG, which is public educational governmental funding. That is a surcharge on cable bills and it's collected by municipalities. And that those funds shall then be transferred for the purpose of funding the coverage of meetings like tonight. There are other agreements with Westwood Media Center who operate PEG access for Westwood that speak to the obligation of the town to functionally pass those funds through. And so those funds typically come in on a quarterly basis. And so this is an action where I am requesting a board vote to authorize that functionally, because this is just complying with a contract that you have already adopted, that when we receive these pass-through payments, that myself or Debbie can sign them as a payment that we are obligated under contract.
Done this many times. Joe, any questions?
None.
I will entertain a motion then.
I'd be happy to. I'd like to make a motion for the select board to authorize the town administrator or his designated alternative to issue payments to Westwood Media Center as per contractual obligations for the monies we receive from Verizon and Comcast on a quarterly basis for the fiscal year.
Second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Unanimous vote in favor. Thank you, Connor. That brings us to select board liaison reports. Anything to report, Joe?
I do not have anything to report at this time.
I would just like to report that I attended the Commission on Disability meeting recently. They're working on two projects. Number one, there's playground being worked on at the block 22 Everett Street, and they are giving a lot of input into that playground. And secondly, they are going to be reaching out to various department heads just to open up a discussion between the disability community and our various departments in town so that they can have a two-way conversation, how they can better assist the various departments in town and how the departments can better assist the disability community. So they're doing some great work there. That is all that I have to report for liaison reports. That brings us to our minutes, Joe. We've got minutes from January 26th, 2026 and February 3rd, 2026. And I will entertain a couple motions there, please.
I'd be happy to, and as always, outstanding job with the minutes. Thank you, Tish. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of January 26, 2026 as submitted.
And I will second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. And Ms. vote in favor. And
I'd be happy to make a motion to accept the minutes of February 3rd, 2026.
and I will second that motion out of necessity. Roll call, Joe.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Unanimous vote in favor. I will note that our next meeting will be Monday, March 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. It will be here in the main library small conference room, a hybrid meeting just like this one. I want to thank the people who are left. Thank you for being here tonight.
And just because I know this is a new format, I received texts from two people who said that they put questions in the Q&A for the public and press that were not addressed. So I've been waiting for the right time to raise that.
I appreciate that.
Someone said there's a question enabling those of us on Zoom to see who else is on the Zoom meeting. They put it in the Q&A, and then someone else said, if you're still there, I put an entry in the Q&A. It was not addressed. and I have to leave the meeting. So I just wanted to raise that, and he said, someone said they checked back and the Q&A is now empty. So anyway, they've asked me to raise that since I'm here in person. I know we're still working on how these meetings are gonna go, but I wanted to raise that.
I appreciate that. I think Tish does have the question, so we'll follow up directly on those questions. I haven't seen them, but we'll follow up on them. I appreciate you letting us
They
know.
received after you started to schedule that.
Okay.
So the public and press had already ended at that point.
Okay.
And I did answer one asked how many people were on the call, and I did say 21 attendees at that time.
Okay. Thank you, Tish. Thank you. Thank you. The board will now be going into executive session to discuss 4 issues. The first, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation involving the property at 665 Clapper Tree Street. Second, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to general collective bargaining for union personnel. The third, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 22FG, to comply with any general law for review of executive session minutes. And the fourth, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22FG, to comply with any general law for release of executive session minutes, discussion of which would have detrimental effect on the position of the governing body if the discussion were in open session. The board will not return to open session. Thank you,
So moved.
everyone, and good night. Yes,
So
Joe?
moved. So moved.
Thank you. And I will second that motion out of necessity. Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.